There's a lot of anxiety for the year 2023. I know there's a lot of rumors of a lot of bad stuff with the economy that could happen. And so many people are worried about where their business is going to be by the end of the year. And give me the next couple of minutes, and I'm going to literally walk you through the same process that I use year by year that ensures that I am rigging the game to win and to grow my business every single year. And I'm literally going to get out a Google document. I'm going to show you guys everything. Okay. Now, for those of you guys who don't know this, like, I have a love of basketball. I love the game so much that right there you can see that I actually had my contractor build in a foul shot line so that I could literally shoot foul shots in between coaching calls. It helps relax me. Now, of course, I also had rotator cuff surgery this year, and so I have been limited to shooting with my left hand. But I want to tell you guys a little story, because this is something that I have learned about myself, and it comes out of the book that Dan Nicholson wrote. Dan Nicholson is one of my financial mentors. I am super, super glad that I found this guy, because I would not have my beach house. I would not have the same mentality that I have right now in order to grow my business if it wasn't for him and Nick Peterson and Mr. Jeff Moore just really keeping me in the game, as to say. But back in my childhood, I started playing basketball from elementary school. I played all the way into college, and I still play today. And I know you guys can't tell this, but I'm short. Okay. My basketball stats will tell you I'm 5'5", but I'm actually probably about 5'3.5", 5'4". I like to say I'm 5'4", but I'm probably like more 5'3.5". But anyway, I am a short woman. Okay. I'm a short woman. And so I knew, like, even whenever I was in elementary school, that I needed to get good at something so that I could be an asset to my team, not someone who was going to slow the team down or anything like that, right? Because, but short people do have their place in the game. And so I literally rigged the game. I didn't know it at the time, but what I was doing was I was rigging the game in order to make myself a valuable player to my team. Here's what I did. I got on that free throw line every single day, and I would shoot 500 shots. Okay. Why did I do that? Well, because in the game of basketball, a lot of games are lost because people cannot, with consistency, make their foul shots. Okay. And so I became really good, so good that for 7 years in a row, I was the state free throw champ for my age group for girls in the state of Louisiana. 7 times. A lot of people are like, why is everything like $7 to you? And 7 has just kind of been my lucky number throughout all these years. And so what I learned about myself is that once I have my eye on something, I am going to only do the things that's going to move the needle. And so out of everything that I practiced, it was on that free throw line. I spent so much time with that free throw line. So how does this pertain to how I'm actually going to keep growing my business in 2023? And how can you utilize what we're talking about here in order to do the same thing? Okay. And so I'm going to show you guys something straight out of this book that's called Rigging the Game. I definitely recommend going to Amazon. You can grab it super, super cheap. This is by far the book that has really been a pivotal moment for me in my business, as far as like really understanding how not only I've been doing things without even knowing it, but really making sense so that I can put together a plan that makes sense moving forward. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you guys a little something. Okay, in the book, Dan Nicholson talks about a solvable problem. Now, in order to get to that solvable problem, we want to do it with less risk before going into the less effort and more options. Let me explain that. Okay, so let's say my goal is to get 300 new members into my $7 program, which, by the way, this is one of my goals that I have every single quarter. Okay, 300 new members inside the $7 program. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, Laurel, you're an ads expert. Why don't you just run ads? As a matter of fact, I do, but it did not start out that way. Here's why. If I spend money on ads and I don't know what my acquisition costs are, that's adding risk to my business, right? It could potentially be taking away my profits. It could be eating away my business into the red. And so I have to come up with a strategy that has the least amount of risk, okay? One of the things I do know in my solvable problem is after being very consistent, I started going live in April of 2018. And now I can do this with predictability and consistency, that every person that I can get into Messenger who's asking for one of my cheat sheets to one of my videos, I can guarantee they're going to join my $7 program if they are not already in. Now, this has come from lots of quarterly data, okay, for the past several years, okay? And so I always tell my students every single quarter, keep track of this, right? Because if you need cash flow, this is the least amount of risk that you can bring into your business in order to reach your goal, right? If someone wants to sign on 10 new high ticket clients, if they concentrate just on this, just like I concentrated just on shooting foul shots and just nailing it, right? Get good at that one thing. By the end of 90 days, if you do nothing but this in 90 days, you're going to know how many posts that are going to get how many comments, that are going to get how many messenger conversations, that are going to book how many calls and how many sales, right? I already know my solvable problem because I've done it so much, is if I can get people asking for my value bomb in Messenger, they're going to join my $7 program. Now, it wasn't always that way, but that's what it's worked out to be. That is a solvable problem. So if I know that I want 300 new members, I got to get 300 people in Messenger, right? Now, that takes time, right? So once I have my solvable problem that I'm able to hit with the least amount of risk, I'm going to start working towards less effort, right? Less effort. So I'm not going to stop doing this, but I'm going to present a new test, okay? So if we look at this, this is the next step, okay? The first strategy was I'm going to use organic video marketing. I'm going to give out a lot of cheat sheets. I'm going to have a lot of messenger conversations, but god dang, that is a lot of messenger conversations, right? I'm not going to stop doing this next quarter. I know that for sure this is going to work, right? I'm going to have to put in a little bit of work and I'm going to test something that, again, Dan Nicholson talks about in this book called the authority loop, right? If I borrow one of my colleagues' audiences, I can borrow their authority and they're going to talk really well about how good I can run Facebook ads and how my $5 strategy is the bomb, right? That's an authority loop, right? And so if I borrow someone else's audience, I know because of data, remember, at first you won't know this, but again, after 90 days of implementing this, you're going to have the numbers. And so now with predictability, I know that if I want to do 300 members with less effort, right? That after borrowing someone's audience for an entire 90 days, I know that if I can get in front of 100 people live on a Zoom call, right, that someone else is curating, I can literally sell 1 out of 3. Typically, like if I get in a room with 100 people on a live call and it's one of my colleagues that is really pushing my $5 ad strategy and really, giving me a lot of authority, I'm leaving with at least 33 sales off of that Zoom call. Okay. So now I know, cool. If I can get 9 of my colleagues to give me access to a Zoom room full of 100 people, I can spend 9 hours to get my 300 members, right? That is less effort than talking to 300 people in Messenger, right? Talking to 300 people in Messenger is going to take me longer than 9 hours, right? So I'm leaning into less risk. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? I can scrap that this quarter because I'm just going to lean into this authority loop and I'm going to reach my goal with 9 hours. But again, what if I wanted even less effort? What if I did not even want to spend any other time? Let's introduce a little bit of risk, but we're not stopping to do that. We're not stopping this. Okay. So now while I'm doing this for the next 90 days, I've scrapped this. I don't have to do this. I found a way with predictability to have my goal with least amount of effort. Now I'm going to go even less. So cool. I'm going to get my 300 members, but I'm going to test. What can I do with paid advertising? Again, I'm not dropping this. So the next 90 days, I'm going to do this plus this. By the end of 90 days, I'm going to have my solvable problem, which at this point I do. On average, I can pay $11 to acquire a $7 customer. So if I spend $3,300, I can get 300 new members. And so now this is pretty much what I do. Because with predictability, now let's just say Facebook advertising goes up or whatever, right? I'm going to have to recalibrate this, and I might work something like this back in until I can recalibrate this. But this is how I lean into doing pretty much everything in my business. And notice that my goal for 90 days is a single goal, right? It's just like me working 100% on that one thing so that I can be an amazing asset for my team. This is, like I said, something that I learned early on, but it never really made sense until I read Rigging the Game and was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this all along. And so this is how you yourself can rig the game. Guys, I just walked you through the process. If you are clear on, but you have to be clear on your solvable problem, right? You have to be clear, like, what is the goal that you want to achieve? I do so many 90-day plannings with students, and they are just not clear on this. Like I had a student in my Lean on Laurel program that we worked on just this, and after 90 days, he knew that if he talked to 130 people, he could bring 10 of them on a call and close 50%. All he had to do then for the next 90 days, all he had to do if he wanted to increase sales was increase the amount of people that he was talking to in Messenger, right? Because let's say, right, that your goal is to get 10 new people into your high ticket program, and you're doing X amount of posts and getting X amount of comments, but you're going to start to see where the black hole is. Like most of my students, they struggle here and they struggle here. And so a lot of times, but we have to run the data for 90 days to figure this out. And that's what I always tell people. It's not 90 days to success. It's 90 days to data so that we can plan for success, right? And that's where a lot of people want to rush these things. But if you are patient enough to run the numbers and know exactly what to fix, like most of my students, they don't even need to worry about this, because we have optimized this so much that they know they can make 10 posts a month and get the amount of calls that they need because we've done the math. So hopefully this video has served you. Like I said, I can only show you what I'm doing, but I have seen this over and over again. When I do this exercise with my Lean on Laurel students every single 90 days, things get better. They grow, right? You always say that, like, if you can get 10% better every month, right? A lot of people want to like double their things every single month, but if you can grow by 10% every single month, by the end of the year, you have doubled. Guys, it is not a sprint. It is a marathon, right? We're in it for the long-term strategy. So like I said, I hope that this video has served you well. I hope that some of you guys are going to take this information and actually implement it, because guys, I have seen time and time again, my Lean on Laurel students, man, they're getting progress because of this very simple exercise. And I got to give one more piece of love to Mr. Dan Nicholson for writing this book, making this information available to everybody, because guys, this is going to be one of the most important books that you are going to read in 2023. And it is going to help you rig the game and create a fail-proof marketing strategy so that we all raise the floor, not raise the ceiling. Let's raise the floor. Again, you're going to learn about that. We're going to raise the floor in 2023.